Okay, and we are live on all platforms. What's good, God? What's good, my gods and goddesses? Today's discussion is titled The Grace That Enters Your Life When Life is Falling Apart. And we're going to talk about this from the perspective of even your life falling apart is just a circumstance. It's just an illusion. Life falling apart is a translation of a meaningless circumstance. Life falling apart is a what? It's a story that we tell upon an actual meaningless circumstance. It's already meaningless. It's already meaningless. So let's get into it. The quote from scripture that we are going to discuss, it is, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." Listen to that. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. When you first hear that, what do you hear? What does it sound like? The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Does it sound like pity, perhaps? The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. We're going to get into what that actually means from a metaphysical perspective, right? So I'm going to lead you into this. Okay, we're going to have a little bit of foreplay before we get into the main course, all right? So the first quote that we're looking at is from Meister Eckhart. "As long as you are seeking God, you are not yet ready to find him." As long as you are a seeker, you can guarantee one thing, that you have assumed the identity of someone who doesn't have, right? Seeking love means I don't have love. Seeking prosperity means I don't have prosperity. As long as I'm seeking, I'm in the identity of not having. And then someone might say, "Well, Alex, what is the point of life then?" Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you got to sit down and be like a monk and let the money flow out of the sky. What I'm saying is you do things as an expression of the perfection that you already are. You don't do things as a way to try to be what you already are. Meaning, when I was first learning how to trade, one of the things that used to always bother me was I would decide I'm prosperity, I'm prosperity, I'm prosperity, I'm prosperity, I'm prosperity. Okay? But once I got into the market, that next trade determined my prosperity. Meaning, if it went well, I was happy, but I was pushing too far. I needed this one to be 1,000%, a 500% return. But if I lost, all of a sudden, my whole personality, my whole identity took a hit. What the hell am I doing? Right? When did I actually switch into profitability? Whenever I sat down and before I placed the trade, I said, no matter what happens, win or lose, I am still prosperity. One trade does not define me. One moment in time doesn't define me. What I do next doesn't define me. So even if you're working on a business, right? Let's say that you're working on this business and you say I'm prosperity. So the business must work out this way. Well, no, you just are prosperity. Point blank, period. That business is one expression of that prosperity, and you can choose that it yields you more prosperity, but you're already it. Because what you're saying, if you say, hear this, right? Listen to me closely. When you say, I am prosperity, so this business must work out. Now let me rephrase that, because that's not where I'm going. I'm prosperity, so this business, for it better fucking work out. What you're doing is you're making your prosperity conditional. You don't really see yourself as prosperity. You're just hoping that if you assume the identity of prosperity, that this thing will show up. Okay? We will say, all right, well, I am love, so this SP better come. You're not just saying that you're love and then choosing that person from a clean, calm, smooth, magnetic being. You're testing. You're saying, okay, well, I'm prosperity, so this person better come because I'm not prosperity right now. But hopefully if I say it long enough, this person will show up. Okay? So let's get into this. As long as you're seeking God, you're not yet ready to find him. Seeking is the most refined form of distance. It keeps God, it keeps love, it keeps prosperity placed ahead of you, above you, outside you. The seeker lives on spiritual credit. spiritual IOUs, right? The intimacy, convinced that intimacy will arrive later once clarity improves, once wounds heal, once devotion deepens, once feelings take root, or the most dangerous one, once life stabilizes. Right? God becomes a destination tucked away in the future when things are better. Than I'm saying I'm prosperity now, but what I'm really saying is if I hope that if I say this long enough, something out there will prove it to me. God becomes a destination rather than the ground beneath your feet. Even prayer becomes an upward motion, a reaching born of the assumption that you're not already held. This posture keeps the soul restless. Motion, movement replaces rest. Hope in a future replaces presence, being in this moment right here. And then longing, constantly needing something out there to fulfill me, it replaces love. It replaces true love, right? So we go from love to longing. We go from presence to hoping. We go from rest to movement. This is what happens when we make God an external thing, or we make love or prosperity something out there. All right? So the pattern is exposed in scripture. So Luke 24:5, it says, why do you look for the living among the dead? And we've broke down this scripture several times. Why do you look for the living among the dead? Why search for life in images that require time, improvement, or confirmation? Why expect the infinite to arrive wearing a form your nervous system approves of? The seeking mind, the searching mind, right? The longing, the lustful mind cannot receive God because it insists on distance as proof of reverence. I want to say that one more time. I want you to really hear what I'm saying. The lustful, the hungry, the seeking, the lackful mind cannot receive God because it insists on distance as proof of reverence. This is when people begin to argue for their limitations, right? They begin to say, I've been working hard, so why isn't this showing up? I just want them so bad, so how come I can't have this person? But Alex, you don't understand, bro. I love this shit. I love her. I love him. It's the only thing I want. But that has nothing to do with actually receiving. Okay? So the seeking mind cannot receive God because it insists on It insists on distance as proof of reverence. But Eckhart whispers a heresy that feels like relief. God is not found by movement, but by collapse. You hear that? God is not found by movement, but by collapse. When the seeker dissolves, what remains is saturation. And we're going to get into this in a second, right? This might sound like a whole bunch of poetic mumbo jumbo right now. But we're going to dig deeper into this. When the seeker dissolves, what remains is saturation. You don't arrive at God. You never arrive at God. You awaken as the place God has always been standing. It's not a journey. You're not on a journey to righteousness. You're not on a journey to salvation. You're not on a manifestation journey. You are awake. This is an awakening. This is a realization that there is no journey. There is only a recognition or a remembrance right now in this divine, holy, eternal, generous, precious now moment that everything you desire is already here. You just have to recognize it. Right? So now we went through this, and this is where the ruin or the collapse enters the story, right? This is when the whole concept of the grace that enters when life is falling apart. This is the part about life falling apart right here. Okay, so hear this quote from Rumi. Where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure. Basically, what he's saying is when shit fucks up, when shit looks fucked up, there is hope for a treasure. What the hell does he mean? What does it mean? Just think about that for a second. We're going to break this shit down, though. The plans fail. Okay? The plans fail. The roles stop working. It feels like your identity is collapsing. Everything around you is falling apart. The SP walks out your life. The money looks short. All your trades are losers. The identity you negotiated with reality no longer produces results. Right? We call this ruin. We call this ruin, right? The mind loses leverage. There is no strategy left to bargain with God. Hear that. There's no strategy left to bargain with God. This is why suffering feels so intimate. Because pain, not because pain is unbearable, but because the self you thought you were is no longer functional. Meaning disappears. What happens when life starts to look like it's falling apart? I just did all this shit and it was for nothing. I gave her all this shit and it was for nothing. We start to feel like everything we did was meaningless. When the structures that we have leaned on fall apart, you put all of your sense of identity on the fact that you had this musty, crusty SP in your life. And when they walked away, it was like the walls that you leaned on for your identity crumbled. The money went short. You leaned on it. The job went away. You leaned on it for identity. When it disappeared, your sense of self crumbled. You started saying, what the fuck is the meaning of this? What is this for? Everything's fucked up. Really was just one person walked away. That was all. One person walked away, your check engine light came on. It wasn't that big of a deal. But in your mind, everything's fucked up. Okay? So what happens here? We are trained to believe that God lives in order, that God lives in blessings, what we consider the human version of blessings, which is things out there. We believe that God is in quote unquote progress. Right? So when life fractures, so when life seems to split, right, we assume that God's left us. We assume abandonment. Interesting, right? We assume abandonment. But let's talk about what we are going to do from a mystic perspective. What does mysticism say about that, right? So in this moment, ruin is not God leaving, right? The collapse of the things out there is not God leaving. It is God removing substitutes. That person that you have wasn't God. You just made them God. They weren't love. You are love. But you were using them as a substitute for the real thing. You settled for the great value version instead of remembering who you are. So at this moment, when it looks like things are falling apart, you think your life's falling apart. No, the substitutes are falling apart. All those false idols falling out of your life. What do you have to lean on now? Every false shelter must fall because nothing false can host the infinite. Everything out there, when we say it's an illusion, doesn't mean it's just fake, right? It's an experience, you feel me? But it's not the truth. You are the truth. I am is the truth. I am the truth. So everything that I make a God out there, it's a false. It cannot host the infinite. The only thing divine enough and whole enough to host the infinite in your reality is you. It's you. So now we're going to get into this quote. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Closeness is proximity. God doesn't hover at the polite distance or at a polite distance offering encouragement from afar. God presses near where the heart has split open, where defenses have failed, where the ache has stripped language from the mouth. The broken heart is not something God rushes to fix. It's something God enters. This is why heartbreak feels holy even when it hurts. This is why heartbreak feels holy even when it hurts. The fracture becomes an opening, a place where the soul no longer performs strength and therefore no longer resists intimacy, right? So you're no longer performing strength, thinking that you standing up by yourself, leaning on this thing outside of you. Now you are forced into intimacy. Forced into intimacy. You got nowhere to lean on. What you gonna do? Lean on the truth. What breaks is not your capacity to love. It's the illusion that you were ever separate from the source of it. So this is the journey that we're always on. This is the journey that we always on, right? In the brokenhearted, love is no longer theoretical. It is lived as vulnerability. The heart stops posturing and starts listening. Desire softens into surrender. Prayer loses its formality and becomes breath, becomes trembling attention, becomes wordless trust. I remember one of my first heartbreaks. When I first came across this and I started reading it from a metaphysical perspective, I started to think back on one of my first heartbreaks. I came back to one of my first heartbreaks. I think it was probably my only heartbreak, my only true. Well, yeah, okay. Anyways, long story short, I told y'all about the girl I was with that passed, right? There was a time when we were together and she ended up walking out. She ended up leaving. And I remember when she left and took her shit, coming back to the crib and looking around and things are just all over the place, right? And her shit was gone and I didn't know what to do. So I did nothing, right? I started to clean up, right? I started to clean up the crib and I threw away a bunch of stuff and kind of tidied up for like hours, it felt like. And after that, I just wasn't tired. It was night, it was late at night. And I literally just sat down in the most intense presence that I had ever felt to that point. It was as if a part of me or something that I had been dependent on just was snatched from my life. And I did not know what to do. At that time, I couldn't think about getting it back. It was just, everything was just so here. There was just an immediate presence of everything that was going on. And sure, I felt sad, but that wasn't a problem. I was confused. That wasn't a problem. There were a lot of things that were going on in my mind, but it was one of the most intense moments of presence that I had. That was a moment that really catapulted my spiritual journey as well. I sought God like none other at that time. I was doing everything. I had put in the Discord a story about a 7-day fast. This was around that time that I did that 7-day dry fast. I was like, I need the answers. But I do remember that moment of presence. Now, days after that, the sadness was worse or heavier, not worse. Worse is relative, right? The sadness was heavier as I was constantly trying to come back to this remembrance. And of course, we worked it out. It didn't even last a long time. But there was something that happened to me in that moment, right? Where all of my attention had to come back to myself and I could no longer rely on anything outside of me to hold me up. It's like, you know what? At any time, any of these things outside of me can go. But I'm still going to be here. Source is still going to be here. How can I make peace with that? How can I make peace with that? There's really no point in that story. I just wanted to let y'all know that sometimes it's those moments of pain where it feels like something is getting ripped out of our life that brings us to just an incredible presence. And those moments can become the turning point in our journey if we make it about us. Now, what I could have done is I could have made it about her, right? She leaves and the first thing that I'm doing is panicking how to get her back, begging for her back. Please come back. Manifest her back. What did I do wrong? Please tell me. Or I could realize That in this moment, I have an opportunity to come back to myself and actually tell the story of what I want. And if I can do it in this moment, if I can do it in this moment where the emotions are high, where the stakes seem high as shit, when can I not do it? Little pep talk for y'all. Okay? Little pep talk for y'all. So here we go. In the brokenhearted, love is no longer theoretical. It's lived as vulnerability. The heart stops posturing and starts listening. Desire softens into surrender. Prayer loses its formality and becomes breath, becomes trembling attention, becomes wordless trust. Even at that time where I was just down and out, right? It was like the prayer was known and I didn't have to speak it. There was nothing that I needed to say. There was just this knowing that, yeah, this sucks, but this too shall pass. God draws close not because you're worthy now. It's not saying that because you're brokenhearted, you're worthier now. It's because you're undefended now. You're no longer trying to build an identity on the illusions around you. The ego collapses, and what remains is honesty. Divine presence doesn't feel loud or dramatic. It feels quiet. It feels intimate, almost secret, like being held without being asked to explain why you fell apart. Let that one sit in. The divine presence, it feels like being held without being asked to explain why you fell apart. That is presence. That is presence. Being held without having to explain why you fell apart. This closeness does not remove the ache. Not necessarily, it may. But it does not necessarily remove the ache. It sanctifies it. The wound becomes a doorway instead of a verdict. You're not abandoned in your breaking. You're met there. In that moment that you think that you're broken or breaking or that life is falling apart, you are met there wholly, unconditionally. The heart that shatters becomes a chalice. Love pours where it can reach the bottom. God doesn't wait for you to heal before approaching. God approaches because you're open. The broken heart becomes the place where union stops being imagined and starts being felt. Not just as ecstasy, but as belonging so deep it survives even the pain. This is the power of presence. This is the power of presence, right? So that verse, right? Oh, shit. I double wrote this in here. Okay. So here's another quote from John of the Cross. Quote from John of the Cross. It says, "To come to what you do not know, you must go by a way in which you do not know." To come to what you do not know, you must go by a way in which you do not know. Right? There was someone in the Discord earlier, and they were having like a, little crisis. External circumstances were doing what they did. So they were struggling, right? They were fighting with themselves. Okay. And so the question I asked them was like, okay, well, what is your identity? Right? They went back to talking about the circumstances. So, okay, yeah, but I'm not worried about the circumstances. What is your identity right now? They went back to talking about the circumstances. And the question that I'll pose to all of y'all, is, do you believe that your circumstances will get better if you complain your way out of them? Do you believe that constantly complaining about the circumstance that you are in is going to yield you a different result? Have you ever known or seen that working with anyone, that they complain so much about their situation that it magically disappeared? I haven't. One of the things that we'll say is the definition of insanity, right, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So we've been going down this path for 20, 30, 40 years, however long you've been going down that path, right? Where you've been looking outside of yourself. And when you're looking outside of yourself, you're judging yourself based on things out there, right? You're saying, oh, because this situation showed up, it's all going wrong. Because my mind is doing this, it's all going wrong. Because I feel like this, it's all going wrong. But that takes me back to the question that I asked before. If I ask you what's wrong, you say, oh, I just feel sad. Okay, but what's wrong? Feeling sad doesn't mean something's wrong. It just means you feel sad. What's actually wrong? Well, I miss my SP, but what's wrong? You have a feeling about them, but what is actually, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. And the more that we continue to tell the story that something is wrong right now, the more that we continue to dwell in the identity where something is wrong right now, the more that we claim these things, right? If you were in the church right now and said you were depressed, they'd call you demonic. Pray it off. Pray it off. Right? We're not going to say that. What we are going to say is that the more that we claim those things as our identity in the present moment, the more that we invite that to continue to unfold in our life moment after moment after moment. You have a powerful opportunity right now to say, okay, the past is what it is. The situation out there, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about that shit right now. They left you. There's nothing that you can do about it right now. Unless you want to get a restraining order, which I doubt in it. Well, some of y'all do kind of act like y'all do want restraining orders the way that y'all fucking act. They're gone. There's nothing that you can do right now. You can either stay in the identity of them not being here, which you don't even like. You don't even like that identity, right? They're not here right now. You don't like that identity. Yet you continue to dwell in it and complain to me and bitch and whine about them not being here. So you can either continue to stay in an identity that you don't want, which makes absolutely no sense. You can do the same shit over and over again, expect a different result, or you can take that divine path. You can remember yourself as love. You can understand that they're within you. How can they go anywhere? How could they go anywhere? They are you. They are you. So, and if you talk about the 3D, but you don't associate with the old identity, is it okay? Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? If somebody asked me for a ride and I say, nah, I ain't got no gas, but I got a full tank of gas, does that magically make my gas tank go on empty? Just asking, guys. Don't allow this whole manifesting space to allow logic to just go out of your mind now. Don't allow this to make logic leave you behind. If that woman holler at you and you say, nah, I got a girlfriend, I can't talk to your ass. Does that magically make a woman appear at your apartment? No. Unless I'm mistaken. So when y'all are saying these things, it's like you're trying to micromanage, you're trying to find this process. If I do X, Y, Z, then I can get D, E, F. But the alphabets don't even line up when you're doing it like that. This shit doesn't make sense. You exactly. You live life, you do what's best in the moment, you handle situations to the best of your ability. But if you're not with that person right now, and you sitting at the family reunion talking about, yes, they're here with me right now, you might be insane. You don't have to do that, okay? You can handle situations to the best of your ability, but know the truth of who you are. I can tell you I don't want to give you a ride. I don't have gas. I ain't got money to go out tonight, bro. I'm just chilling. I got some work to do. I can tell you that shit, but I'm in the identity of I'm finna take my ass to sleep. I'm finna take my black ass to sleep. I don't feel like fucking with y'all tonight. I just don't feel like hearing you try to convince me. Oh, bro, come on, bro. I got work to do. I'm chilling. That doesn't magically make work appear in my life. I still know who I am. Okay? I still know who I am. All right, cool. So here we go. A quote from John of the Cross. John of the Cross. To come to what you do not know, you must go by a way in which you do not know. Basically, if you want something new, you have to do something new. If you want something new, you got to do something new, right? God cannot be found by the mind that insists on light. God cannot be found by the mind that insists on light. The divine is not obscured in darkness. The darkness is what removes your dependence on sight. Sometimes I say some shit and I just wish I was in a mega church right now, because y'all don't react like people in a church would. Right? Sometimes I want to convert to Christianity just to say a couple of these lines in the church and see their response, right? God cannot be found by the mind that insists on light, insists on everything looking good, to prove to it that it's working. The divine, God, is not obscured in darkness. The darkness is what removes your dependence on sight, or the quote unquote issue, which is just a circumstance. And circumstances don't matter, right? So the problem isn't the circumstance. It's that you depended on the light. You depended on things looking good. You thought God was only found when shit looks good. That is the issue. Okay? That is the issue. When explanations fail, when meaning collapses, when prayer becomes wordless, the soul finally stops managing its relationship with God and begins resting inside it. Faith ceases to be belief and becomes consent. It becomes life. It becomes the truth. Even Jesus names this, right? So John 12:24 says, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, gets covered in darkness, it remains alone. Ruin is the falling. Things looking like they falling apart, that's the falling, right? Seeking is the refusal to fall. Constantly trying to find God, that is the refusal to fall, the refusal to surrender into the truth of who you are already in this moment. Resurrection doesn't happen to the self that stays intact. That's another line right there. That was another fucking gem. I thought y'all missed the poetic version of me. Resurrection doesn't happen to the self that stays intact. Resurrection does not happen to the self that stays intact. It happens when identity releases its grip on continuity. It is what it is, but I am that I am. I'm going to let whatever do whatever. It's already looking unpredictable. It's been unpredictable, but I'm just going to rest in the truth. It's all good. God's got me. I'm here. God's got me. I'm here. All right. So this is where we go to Psalm 46:10. That is, be still and know that I am God. All right. Stillness isn't passivity. It's the end of argument with what is already true. The seeker thinks union lies ahead. The ruined soul discovers union was underneath. When seeking collapses and structures fall, and everything that gave you meaning outside of you, that love disappears. When all of those things disappear, right, what remains is ground. Not a God you look toward, but a God you stand in. Not a presence that you chase, but a presence you cannot leave. You can't leave God. You can't get closer or further from that which you already are. The end of seeking is intimacy. The end of seeking is intimacy, right? The grass ain't greener on the other side. The grass ain't greener in that other technique. The grass ain't greener in that new book. The new book is nice information, but the grass is already perfect right here. Right? The grace of ruin isn't destruction, it is revelation. You were never meant to find God. You were meant to stop standing apart long enough to realize you never left. That's it. That's all that there is. I am that I am no matter what. I am that I am no matter what. Okay? You were never meant to find God, y'all. You were never meant to seek God and find God. You were meant to stop standing apart long enough to realize you never left. There is nothing that you can do right now to get closer to that which you already are. There is nothing that you can do right now to fall out of grace with that which you already are. You are already everything that you desire to be. The only reason you don't see it is, like Neville said, because you refuse to accept it. You refuse to accept it. You got this, okay? You got this. You are already everything. Rest in that knowing, right? The feeling doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means you feel a certain way. The thought doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means you thought a certain way. The situation doesn't mean that anything's wrong. The situation just is what it is. But what is the unchanging, ever-present, eternal, perfect, divine source that animates every single breath, every single cell within you? What is it? It's the truth. It's the I am within you. Right? It's the I am within you. Okay? I am that I am, no matter what. No matter what. I loved it. Okay? I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Stressing about a timeline when manifesting an SP back. What could this timeline possibly be with this person? The first question I would ask you, what possible timeline could there be with manifesting a specific person? What's gonna happen? Like, are they expiring? That was green. That was green. That was green. For sure, Katie. I'm stressed that if it takes too long, my chances will be over. That sounds like lack, right? It sounds like lack, right? If you think that at a certain time it would be over for this person, I would challenge you and I would say, do you believe that you're the center of reality, or are they the center of reality? Right? You got to come back to yourself. Well, how do you do that? You come back to yourself. You make it about you. You are love, so of course they love you. You don't make it a whole, they love me, and if they show up, I've got to do something to manifest them. Let me slow down. Let me talk to y'all out of love. Lately, I have not been finding much joy in talking about specific people. And I'll tell you why. It's because lately, I don't know what it is, but I've been seeing more and more lack in the SP conversation than anything else. The SP conversations just have been, I can read between the lines. I hear the pleas, and I don't want y'all to suffer. Okay, I don't want y'all to be in this constant state of suffering. So when I hear things like, how do I manifest the SP on a time crunch? First of all, the first thing that I immediately go to is, what do you even think manifestation is? Okay. It's never going to be about, and I know this is going to be hard to hear because you're already in the position of trying to manifest somebody on a time crunch because you think that if you don't get them by some time, you can't get them, right? You're already in that mindset of lack. Just call it what it is. You're already in the identity of lack, right? So me telling you to make it about yourself, and it's not about them, and there is no time, is already going to sound like, okay, let me find the next person. But I want you to hear me. You can have everything that you want, not just this person, but the life that you want, the car that you want, the money that you want, all of those things that you want. But you can't get there from lack. You can only get it by deciding that you have it. Now, how do you do that? How do you decide you have something? How do you decide that you have that person when you don't see him? How do you decide that you have the money when you don't see it? How? How do you do that? Do you pretend? Do you affirm? All those things are trying to get it still, right? It's trying to trick reality into saying that you have it, right? So you decide. But how do you decide? How do you simply decide that you have it? There we go, star. Divine goddess, right? You remember the truth that you are already all things, that within you are infinite realities. God. You are the expression of God. Everything already exists within you. And so if everything already exists within me, the only thing that I have to do is rest in that truth. That should be the primary place that I'm living from all day, is that I'm already everything that I desire to be. And from there, now I can tell the story of whatever I want. Since I'm already everything I desire to be and I'm already everything, I already have this person. They can't be without me because they are me, because everything exists within me. Doesn't matter what the circumstance looks like. It doesn't matter what they say. Okay, let me be very careful with some of y'all, because some of y'all have predatory tendencies, right? When I say it doesn't matter what they say, I'm not saying to blow up their fucking phone. Okay, what I'm saying is I can stay in the identity, and I can stay in the identity of somebody that has something, but then I can still respect this person when they say, you know what, I'm not interested right now. And I can let that moment go, knowing that the truth is I still have them. And so that truth must unfold into my reality. And this is the core principle of everything. Everything done without the knowing that you already have it is just you trying to get something. And if you're the identity of someone who's trying to get something, then guess what? You don't have it, right? So you can't get it. Rule number 1, return to the truth that you are everything. Rule number 2, return back to that truth. Rule number 3, repeat step 1. Rule number 4, if you forget all 3 steps, refer to step 1. It's a very simple playlist, right? It is how you live your life from this point forward. You're no longer seeking. Because as long as you are seeking this person out there, you are guaranteeing that you don't have it. Because you can't seek what you already have. You already have it. They're already yours. They are already yours. You are the main character, not them. They are your side character. But we make them a main character. I need them by this day. I need them. You don't. And as long as you do, you won't have them. You have them now. You already have them right now. Main character. Right now. Right now, right now. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Look, you deserve what you want, but don't get caught. Okay, anything that gives you the illusion that you don't have it or you need to do more to get it is just that. It's an illusion. It's a lie. It's not the truth. You already have it. You already have it. Did anybody earn a new badge today in the Discord? Still waiting on yours, KK. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let me be very honest with you on this live. I was torn. If I had started giving the badges out a month ago, there's a couple of y'all. I feel like the badges have been such a good thing. Ever since I announced them, y'all have been on y'all shit. Couple of y'all haven't. And a couple of y'all complained about the badges, but as soon as you complained about the badges, you proved exactly why you have them. All right. But since we handed out the badges, man, they were yeah. Some of y'all have really impressed me with kind of the way that you are stepping up to meet yourself. Some of y'all are really stepping up. Yeah. Yeah, it's not about that, right? It's just another way to call people out. That's all. It's just another because let's be real. You jumped into the Discord for free, right? It's a free Discord. You're there to get your the shit that you want. If you choose to make it a soundboard for your lack, which is completely the opposite of what this space is for, this space is supposed to be a springboard to help you consciously create what you want. it's, it's supposed to be something that helps you. So if you just go there, the path is to the right, and you're in this bitch just running to the left, right? Oh yeah, we gonna badge your bitch ass up. We gonna badge your ass up. We gonna slap you with that badge, right? So it's just another way to call you out. It's just another way to say tighten up, right? Keep that shit sharp. Oh, Alexa, you're gonna get all the. You already know what badge you got. Don't even act surprised when you see them. I just haven't added you because I haven't seen you pop up in the chat. 3D addict or something. Yes, Katie. How did you know that? See, y'all already know where I'm leaning to. You already know where I'm leaning. 3 weeks ago, you would have been a 3D addict, but recently you've been on your shit, Katie. KJX, you too. KJX, you too. 3 weeks ago, you would have been a 3D addict, but you've been on your P's and Q's. Y'all two have impressed me the most. KJX and fucking Katie, y'all have impressed me the most. Libra, that was good. A color change for the challenge. No, not on your shit enough for the badge yet. Because I know that I be watching y'all, bro. I keep tabs on all of y'all in my domain. In the domain in Alexander Dwayne's domain expansion. The Discord is my domain expansion. I fucking keep track of y'all in there. So I'm really not impressed with when you can say the right things for like a day or two or a week. I'm impressed with how you respond to some shit that you don't like. I'm looking to see whenever you come in with that inevitable sob story, which it's inevitable. How are you going to act then? How do you speak? Right? I pay attention to how are you handling your own emotions? What kind of advice can you give yourself? What can you receive in those moments? Right? Anybody can act good in good times. It ain't nothing. Once you get into that domain expansion, that SP lack loop, once you get into that lack loop, then I'm like, okay, well. Good, KJX. Good. Keep it up. Keep it up. This is who you are indefinitely now, right? Good morning. Good day. What kind of questions y'all have? You want to ask any questions? Or you want me to get the fuck off of you? I don't mind either way. What's up, Ron? I'm sorry that I had you. I don't think I had you blocked on the Discord, by the way. I might have, but I apologize. All of the above. Keep the flow still. I'm still in it. I'm still in it. You know you're an SP Whisper. Okay. Okay, Katie. Okay, Katie. What's time? Time is just the measurement between one experience and another. That's all. It's just the unfolding of reality within me. Where'd I get so much wisdom? Life. School of hard knocks. School of life. The school of life. Yeah, I'm glad you're unblocked too. I'm glad. How I feel about people manifesting me? Good luck. Good luck. May the odds be in your favor. You got a long line of people to compete with. Hopefully your reality is favorable to you. Appreciate you. Feel like it's taking too long to manifest my SP and I don't even want him anymore. Perfect. I like to hear that. Other people might say he persists. I'm gonna say I like to hear that. Choose differently. Please get out of that. Get out. You don't have to go down that path. Find you something better. Find you a new man. Taller, stronger, with the DDL. Find you something new. It's right to say that there are infinite realities within me. Yes, absolutely. About seeing divine signs, numbers, for example. So, what makes the sign divine is still going to be my interpretation, right? You know what that is, Alyssa. You know what a DDL is, girl. You know what that is. Remember that SP you were telling me about? The one that you said you nicknamed him Mr. Thang Thang? Yeah, him. That's a DDL. So divine signs, it doesn't matter what I see, right? Only thing that matters is that when I see it, I can either interpret it as right or wrong. So if I look out there and I see a 333, a 444, a 222, at a certain point of my life, maybe it meant absolutely nothing. But now I started going on my little awakening journey and I start seeing signs and I interpret them as that means this is happening. That means this is happening. Does it truly mean that that is happening, or is it just my acceptance of the truth that that is happening, or me choosing that that's my truth? So yeah, reality just is what it is. Circumstances just are what they are, right? That's just it. But then the mind comes in and assigns ego. So even signs can just become an ego story that we're telling. Now, what I will say is this is also, right? I have no problem with signs and synchronicities and all those things. The only thing that I'll say is whenever you start telling the story of things being against you, that's what I'm going to say, now. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that, right? You can tell the story that everything is for you. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you, Katie. You still can't get a badge, but thank you. Think about everything happening in the world right now, like wars or something. Well, all things exist within God, right? And so if all things exist within God, then what do you expect not to see? So we'll say like, oh, God is only good. No, God is neutral. God just is. We are, as humans, are infinite perspectives of that one. So we're all walking through here, right, with our own perspective of God. And different things are showing up. Even the concept of right and wrong, wars, good and bad, based on who? If you were born in a different time, under different circumstances, different life situations, you would have a completely different perspective on what is right and wrong. Completely different perspective of what's right and wrong. So right and wrong are relative to an individual or to even cultures, right? Like collective consciousness. A house is a collective consciousness. Even though you can have that black sheep. We call somebody a black sheep when they go against the collective consciousness of the family. Right? A whole bunch, a programmed group of people. right? This live is a collective consciousness, right? Somebody that says the wrong thing, they're going to get what? Y'all going to jump on them like little fucking hyenas. No. Right? Collective consciousness are everywhere. So we have all of these different layers of reality just implemented all over the place. Long story short, right and wrong is very relative. And it depends on a lot of things, right? Somebody can tell me, oh no, you should never unalive somebody until somebody's about to take their child's life. Now unaliving them don't seem like such a bad idea, right? It's circumstantial too. You can say, well, Alice, no, there's certain things that should be absolutely wrong. You'll say sexual assault. And I'll say, yes, I agree. But just because me and you believe that that's absolutely wrong, does that mean that everywhere in the world people agree with that and it's illegal everywhere? Nope, sure ain't. It sure ain't. It's not frowned upon everywhere. Right? So I have my own sense of morality. That's why I live my life, by my sense of morality. And I have control over my reality, meaning my direct experiences. I get to interpret what everything means to me. I'm not sitting here trying to change the mind of the president or whatever the case may be, or this person out there. I'm coming back to source me, and I'm saying this is who I am, and so this is how life presents itself to me. I take an inside out approach. The outside in approach just leads to a whole bunch of at one point in my life I was heavily into social causes, social justice, right? I was there protests. I was speaking at protests. I was doing all of those things, right? At this point in my life, I'm not really into it. I'm not. Now, maybe if something happened to somebody that was close to me, sure, perhaps, maybe, but who knows? I don't know. But what I found was at that point in my life, I started to develop this animosity for anybody that was against me. If you even spoke against me, you were wrong. You weren't intelligent enough. You were small. You were small-minded. I developed this complex, this huge ego around this issue. It became this mindset of, if you can't see where I'm coming from, then fuck you. You're worthless to me. Now, that might seem noble, but from the position I'm in now, it doesn't feel that noble to me anymore. That perspective didn't serve me. It led me to kind of marking this line in the sand and saying us and them, which completely goes against the perspective that everybody is me, right? Or that there's only one. So I can still have certain things where I draw a line in the sand and say, no, that's unacceptable in my life and my experience. But I can still honor the collective that is trying to find its way. I can still look out and see the plight of everybody. I can still look out and see the dance between the abused and the abuser. And see how both of them are opening their heart more within that situation. As brutal as it may seem. Can still see that. Right? But when I was deep into the social movement, I couldn't see that shit. I'm more of a make love, not war type of guy in my life. Right? How can I see a terrible person as love and source though? Because terrible person is relative. Because who's to say that if you did not go through the situations just like them, live life just like them, you wouldn't turn out just like them? Who's to say? We'll never know. From the outside looking in, it's always easy to judge people. Always easy to judge people outside. Right? If you're an infinite amount of reality, there's a reality where you're me, for sure. For sure, probably having hella fun right now. Yeah, same thing. You want to hear others. Go back to the truth of who you are, and then decide to see them in the truth of who they are, an infinite being that can always change, right? So even think of that, me judging somebody and saying this person is absolutely wrong. Let's, fuck, the can of worms, right? So even me saying that, am I accepting that that I am the creator of my reality and of my experience 100%, right? Or am I condemning this person to a role that causes suffering in my life, even if it's just mental suffering? I'm committing that person to a role in my life. Ooh, wait. Been doing this fast with y'all. Had one of my SPs over last night. Caught a cramp. I don't know if y'all ever caught a cramp at the wrong time in the wrong place. Or what I want to help you with detachment. Maybe. Perhaps. I ain't got no guarantees for you. But I would first question, I would say, what do you need to detach from? Do you think that you detaching from something is going to get you what you want even faster or something? Like, what do you think the purpose of detaching is? Now you're making what you desire conditional. So the goal of my code, if you come in there trying to say, okay, can you help me detach? I'm gonna be like, why? I'm gonna try to figure out what you really want, and then we're gonna work from that. Or just because you say, Alex, I need help detaching, doesn't mean that's what you actually need help with. That's what you think you need help with. You need to step in your power and realize whether you attach, whether you want it or don't want it, whether you, no, I'm not gonna say need it, but whether you want it a lot or want it a little bit, it's all the same. It's all yours. Infinite better realities. Why do I choose this reality? That's a great question. Why do you choose this reality? If there are infinite better realities, why do a whole bunch of people walk around choosing piss poor realities and then come on here complaining? Alex, if there are infinite, why do I keep getting the same? I don't know. Fucking ask yourself. Why, instead of typing that question to me, why don't you go look in the mirror and ask your goddamn self? Why do we keep choosing the same shit? Why do I keep choosing to have no hoes? Ask your damn self that. But you can always change who you are like that, right? You can always choose to say, look, this is who I'm going to be from this point forward. This is who I am from this point forward. Some of y'all's excuse for having no hoes is, oh, I'm just waiting for my SP. Sure you are. Sure you are. Then y'all send me an SP. Then y'all send me the picture of y'all SP, and I'm like, this the motherfucker you've been waiting for? Girl, please go explore. Please go explore life. I promise you. I know I say the grass ain't greener, but it might be a little less brown over there. But I love him. Ain't that much love in the world. Ain't that much love in the world. He don't even love himself. Shit, he don't even look like he love himself, girl. Come on now. I'm just playing. But I do want y'all to get y'all SPs off the pedestal. That's why I talk shit to y'all. Nuh-uh, Natalie, don't lie. Don't lie, Nat. Don't lie, Nat. Tell them what you've been drinking on your fucking fast. Look at that water and coffee. No. Say what you've been drinking on your fast. When I read that shit, I was like, hold up. I don't think that's a I don't think that's a fasting drink, man. Oh wait. 99%, exactly. Oh hell yeah, 111. It's 111 people here. If you see it when it was 111 people, that means your SP's coming back tonight. Somebody sees 112, they finna log out and log back in real quick. They finna log out and log back in real quick. 2 people quick, 4 people log out. 3 people log out. One more person log out. Everybody take a screenshot. If you can screenshot it, that means your SP coming back. Come on. Just one per every. Don't nobody want to leave. It's been stuck at 112. There we go. Damn, it went to 110. Join back. Everybody in this hoe ready to screenshot. Got it. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, got it. Everybody in here. That must be French. Is that DK? Is that what that is? DK? That must be uppity. The uppity D. The uppity DDL. That's the exclusive DDL. We call it DK. It's French. El Deek. Huh? Huh? I know some of y'all like, I wish I had some El Deek right now in my life. But my SP hasn't hit me up in 13 months. 13 months. Damn. How I ain't know you count you counting the days of your SP being gone like you just had a newborn. Talk about some 13 fucking months. The pipe, le pipe, le pipe. I just need some LDK. Le pip. Le pip. The PP. You trying to so you've been over here locked in on manifesting techniques for some PP? Not even the DK, but PP? Not the PP. That's why I called my shit when I was a kid. Or wee wee. I called it wee wee when I was a kid. Wee wee. It says free men be overly going. Okay, and what's your point? Okay. Oh. Look at Katie. Hold up. Let me read this shit.